Hey y'all, my name is Shayna Jane, a certified sobriety health and wellness coach with 14 years of experience in the treatment industry, and also my own history with substance abuse. As the founder and CEO of Controlled Chaos, I've made it my mission to provide a supportive community for those facing alcoholism and addiction. This podcast is a real, no-nonsense exploration of life in sobriety. No sugarcoating, just real, honest conversations. Life after addiction can be a crazy, wild ride. And here at Controlled Chaos, we're here to tackle it head on. From navigating relationships to finding purpose, we're your lifeline in chaos. Let's dive into the real challenges of sobriety and carve out our path together. I love y'all mucho. Let's go. Welcome to Controlled Chaos. We have Ron here today. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Ron Isherwood. I live in Australia, in Queensland, in the Sunshine Coast, which is equivalent to your Florida. Same sort of weather, nice and sunny, and beaches just down the road, except for we actually have mountains instead of flatness like Florida. You know, I have a beautiful daughter, half American daughter, who's 28 years of age. I met her mum in San Francisco 30 years ago when I was on one of my exploits, searching for a spiritual awakening. I was actually getting tattooed in San Francisco. But yeah.
I love that.
I do basically for business. I've always owned a jewelry company, but I've always worked since 1981, I went into a drug rehabilitation center because I was a heroin addict and I got introduced to 12-step programs. And so the beginning for me starts in 1954, which is a little while ago. I'm 70 very soon. And my dad was a career criminal. He was in the water side, like you got the people that used to take the unload the ships before containers ever came in. And it was a very big organised criminal organisation in Australia called the Waterside Workers Federation. And you had to be born into it. It was a bit like the mafia. You couldn't just go and join, you can't go, I want to be a painter and docker. You had to sort of be born into it or introduced into it. You had to become a made man in that system. I was born into that. My dad was a boxer and a criminal, so crime was normal. In our family, crime was normal. As a little boy, 4 years of age, I remember seeing I'd wake up in the morning, my whole bedroom would be full of cardboard boxes where they'd gone out and broken into a warehouse and stole all the jumpers or jackets, or even, I remember they stole $1 million worth of ladies' underwear, bras and underwear, like it sounds like, this is 50 years ago, 60 years ago, but women had to buy underwear. So,
they would steal it to sell it to people?
Yeah, they'd steal it and sell it to people. And then they'd have whole networks of people that they were called fences they'd sell stuff to. Yeah, so I was first convicted of a crime when I was 12 years of age. And by the time I was 16, I'd shot my first man. At 17, I had a shootout with the police. I was in prison. And in prison, I got introduced to a drug called Largactil, which is a psych drug. It's there to supposed to control you. It's a little bit like the misdiagnosis of today with the ADHD medications. So they put me on that. I'd never taken a drug in my life. I was a boxer. I was an amateur boxer. I was trying to fight in the Olympics. So I was a super fit young guy and only a little guy. I was always small. And I got out of jail in 1973, late 73. Started smoking marijuana. Didn't really, like it, but I liked selling it because I like being the man. And that's the truth.
Right.
A lot of people don't admit to that. I enjoyed being a drug dealer. I enjoyed being the man. I enjoyed the nice car and wearing the gold chain and the new clothes and all that stuff. I really enjoyed that stuff. It gave me a sense of purpose. I found out many years later that a lot of us lack a sense of purpose. That's why we're lost. Our souls are lost. And in 1974, I found heroin. My mum had just passed away, the only person I'd ever loved in my life. I'd had a really serious car accident. I got 140 stitches in my face, broke my jaw, broke my foot, so I couldn't box anymore. And I'd come out of hospital addicted to morphine. I'm not blaming that. And then somebody gave me some heroin, and that was morphine, and it was like, wow, how good's this? But what I really understand today is, in retrospect, is that I was always in pain. I was always searching. I was always suffering. I was always living in fear. I always felt like I was an egomaniac with an inferiority complex. On the
Right.
outside, I was afraid of nothing. And on the inside, I was afraid of everything. And my addiction just progressed really quickly from heroin. I loved it. I didn't know anything about addiction. You got to remember, this is 1974. There was no education in Australia. There was no Narcotics Anonymous. There was some AA. But by 77, I was already in my first detox. And I went there to get away from the police because I was a career criminal. So I was always in and out of jail. I'd get out of jail, I'd start using, I'd go back to jail. I'd get out of jail, I'd start using, I'd go back to jail. My time outs were getting smarter and my time ins were getting longer. And yeah, so by 1981, we had a corrupt policeman in Australia who just died yesterday. He died yesterday and he was a murderer. He used to just kill people. He was a gangster too. He'd set up armed robberies.
You did a video about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roger Rogerson, Roger the Dodger, we used to call him. And he was a corrupt cop. He'd make you sell heroin for him, or he'd do armed robberies for him. And then when your use-by date was up, he'd murder you. He'd shoot you coming out of a bank. And he'd get rewarded and be a hero on TV saying, yeah, I killed another bad guy. But he was the baddest of all bad guys. He killed a good friend of mine in 1981, and I'd gone back to jail just a couple of weeks before he'd killed my mate. And my mate was a heroin dealer, but he just started dealing through one of Roger's contacts. So he was still dealing for Roger, and my buddy comes to me and he comes to drop some dope off to me and he goes, I'm going to kill a guy called Nettie, who was like a gangster in Australia who worked for Roger. I go, oh, don't talk about it, just do it. That's the world, just do it. Don't tell people. Well, 2 weeks later, Nettie had heard about it, of course. Nettie got his mate Roger to do the killing. And, the story goes. And, of course, I'm sitting in jail. Warren gets killed. And I get straight away, I get full of fear. It's like, whoa, I need some time out. And I had a buddy write to me from a rehab. He said, you need to come to rehab and get clean. If you put half as much effort into getting clean as you do getting stoned, you do this easy. And I'm like, no, I'm not interested. But then he was smart. He got some girls to write to me, girls from the rehab. Now, hi, my name's Charlene. I hear a lot about you. I'd love to meet you. I get to rehab and I stayed there for 10 months. I was bailed to the rehab from the courts. The courts had sent me there. Mm-hmm. And I had to report to the police station every day and sign up at Ledger. I didn't learn anything. They had 12-step meetings there, one meeting a week. And I hated them. I absolutely hated them. I hate standing up in front of people and talking. I used to sweat. The sweat used to run down my back like I was smuggling. It was the only feeling I can relate to. It's like when you're walking through customs and you're carrying dope, or you're walking through an airport and you're carrying a lot of dope and you see the cop standing there with the dog and you're like, oh, man, I got to get past this guy, That was the same feeling of going to meetings for me. It was horrifying because I was exposing myself. I was being humble, something I wasn't used to because I lived on this ego-driven front. I'm a tough guy, you can't come near me, and don't get me wrong, I could be terribly, horribly violent if it was necessary, not to innocent people, not justified, but not to innocent people. All my wars and that were usually with the cops or with the gangsters. I never try to harm innocent people. I didn't even like stealing from innocent people. I'm not that, I wasn't that, I don't know. My moral code was really confused because my mum was a beautiful woman and my father was a horrible animal. I had the black wolf and the white wolf all the time. Because when I asked my mum if I could kill my dad when I was 14 or 15, I said to my mum, when he comes home today, because he used to beat my mum up, I said, when he comes home today, I'm going to shoot him. When the cops come, you tell the cops that he was beating you up and I protected you. And she didn't say, don't kill him. She said, he's not worth going to jail for.
Yeah. So it wasn't like you shouldn't do that. It was like you'll be in trouble. And
yeah, I don't want you to go to jail for killing that piece of crap, which was really sad, because that's how she, she was like, I don't want you to go to jail for him. Fast forward a year later, I shoot a guy with my dad, a couple of guys, and he abuses me for shooting them in the legs and not killing them. He's like, you don't shoot people in the legs, you've got to kill them. And he's really crazy and blah, blah, blah. So come back to my recovery because my life of crime. So that's my book there, Born into the Lie of Crime. It's got the F there, but I crossed the F out. It's not a life, it's a lie, born into the
Yeah.
lie of crime, because that's what it is. It's a lie. And anyone listening to this, please understand, I talk about my past because it's what it was, not to glorify it. I don't pretend for 1 minute that it was a wonderful, glorious, hero, tough guy life. It was a coward life. You know, anybody can pull a trigger. Anybody can rob somebody. Anybody can sell dope. What I think's a gangster today is working 60 hours a week and putting food on the table when it's freezing cold, but you still get up in the morning and you go to work. That's a gangster. Somebody who comes home and his wife and kids aren't afraid of him, that's a gangster. All this other bullshit that we portray in the movies and in the music and all this, it's all bullshit. It's a lie. It's a lie. And when you get to my age, 70 years of age, you can say that.
So, I mean, despite the fact that obviously when you're doing like criminal stuff and whatnot, you end up going to jail or bad stuff happens. At the time, did you feel like you were having fun? Like, did you feel like how it looks, right? Because when you see like movies and music videos and stuff and it glamorizes it, it does seem like it's kind of like a badass, fun way to live. So, like, at the time, did you feel that way?
Yes, there is enjoyable times, not in using, but my criminality continued after I got clean. See, I was a criminal before I was a drug addict. A lot of people become criminals because they're drug addicts. I wasn't that guy. I was a criminal before I was a drug addict. I was born into it. That is my life. That was my life. I was organising major shipments to come into the country. And you might only do that once every 2 or 3 years. So you'd spend a week or two organising something. It would land. You wouldn't even touch it. The other guys would pick it up. They'd distribute it and they'd come back and give you a big bag of money.
So it would almost feel worth it at the time because it's so little work for a lot of money, even though it's high risk, like it's done in a second.
Yeah.
So you can see why that would be like super enticing to somebody.
Oh, yeah. It's and plus you're the man. The ego again, and you feel like you're getting away with it. And I also had a chip on my shoulder because I grew up in institutions. I had a chip on my shoulder that I thought drugs owed me something because they'd taken away my youth. I got legal businesses that are making good money. I wasn't really motivated. To a small extent, I'm motivated by the money, but I'm more motivated by wanting to be the man.
So you're 16 years clean.
Yeah.
You do the cocaine deal, and what happened?
Well, what happened, I've got to explain. My business partner, who isn't a friend for 18 years, comes to me and he goes, man, I just blew it. I lost 30 kilos in Argentina. I'm in trouble with the cartel over there. Will you come over to Brazil and say, I'm backing him, give him another 30 and let him try to work his debt off? So me being me, at first I said no. And then my stupid head loyalty was like, okay, I'll fix this. And also I was motivated by, he already owed me $100,000. So when he got that, he would have had to give me, $500,000 or something. So I'm motivated by a little bit of greed, but I'm also motivated by loyalty, which is a defect of character of mine. I have that.
And again, I'm the man. I get to fix this, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Like I can fix Jazz problem for him, right?
I'm a problem solver. That's my deal. I fix things. That was my whole life. I fixed things. Even today, I've got, an 8-year-old child, a 4-year-old child, and as soon as something's broken, Dad, fix it. Before I go to sleep tonight, I've already worked out how I'm going to fix the problem tomorrow.
Yep.
I've written a list. Here's my diary. This is the crazy part with me.
Mm-hmm.
That's my diary for today.
Right here.
Yeah.
And I write down everything.
And then I tick them off as I do them and run a line through it. Yes, done. And that's just part of my ADHD, which...
Same, but it comes in handy sometimes, right?
Yeah. I work hard. I'm 70. As I said, I'm nearly 70. I'm just about to embark on a new company. When it's successful, it'll be a very financial company. Does that really matter to me? Not to me, but it matters to my children, to my wife, because I've got to think about these days the future, my wife and children. My wife's a couple of months younger than me. My wife's 35. So I have to worry about her future. I don't have to, but that's what I choose to do. So let me go back to my recovery story. So what happened was in 1981, I got clean. I relapsed after 10 months because I thought I could drink alcohol. I couldn't. Mm-hmm. Then I got clean for 12 months and I relapsed again. Then I was clean for 30 months. 30 months I was clean. And I split up with the mother of my twin daughters. I met a woman when I was in rehab. Women have got a really big part of my life. I trust women more than I trust men. I think women are more loyal, stronger than men are. I really do. So I had all this mucking around. So by 86, when I got clean the last time, I just had enough. I had beautiful twin daughters who were 2 years of age. They're now 41. They were nearly 3. And I just wanted to be a dad. But I couldn't stop the criminality. And I had successful business. I've had a jewelry company for nearly 40 years. It's been super successful. I've been in the jewelry industry. I've sold watches and diamonds and gold and designed jewelry and all that stuff for many, many years. Did property development. So it was never really the financial stuff that I was financially secure, but I was always emotionally insecure.
Right.
And mentally insecure because I thought that people had to look up to me as Ron the gangster, Ron the crim, because that was my identity. Instead of being Ron the dad, Ron the husband, Ron the hardworking business person, I had this bullshit lie that I thought I had to live. And I went to jail in 1980. In 2002, I got arrested. In 2004, I got sentenced to 18 years. And I had to serve half of it, so I had to serve 9 years. People talk about spiritual awakenings. I had a rude awakening. I was sitting in a cell. I had a wife. I had a 6-year-old daughter who I love dearly. She's 28 now. I had a multi-million-dollar home, all the trappings, the boat, the cars, and all the bullshit. And I was miserable. Even before I got arrested, I was miserable. With all this financial stuff there, I remember laying on my bed a couple of months before I got arrested thinking, I hope I don't wake up tomorrow. Because I found myself trapped in that situation. I knew that situation was bad. I knew that situation had gone wrong. And I even knew that we were under investigation. But my ego was telling me, you're too smart. You'll get away with this. Plus, I had money. I'll pay the lawyers. And then when I got
all of that stuff when you went to prison?
Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah, we lost a lot of that stuff. My legal fee was over $600,000.
Right.
Just in lawyers. What money was left I gave to my ex-wife, and I told her, go back to America. She was an American. She didn't have any support system in Australia. So in 2006, on the 6th of the 6th, 2006, her and my little girl moved back to America, and we officially separated that day. And we used up all our appeals and all the court procedures, and we resigned to the fact that, no, you've got 18 years, you've got to serve half. And so
she wasn't stand by or anything. She was like, bye.
Yeah. But I don't blame her. She was a lot younger than me. She never signed up to be with a gangster. She knew I was a naughty boy, but she didn't know the extent. I was glad that she left because it took the pressure off me of having to try to survive and have this relationship between. She's a human being. She needs to have companionship. She needs to have these things. And I think it's really unfair for anybody to put those expectations on your partner because I think they're unreal. I think they're unreal expectations.
I always notice when men go to jail a lot of times or prison, women stay there, but like men don't. So I always wonder, what's up with that? Men
are unfaithful human beings. They're not, hopefully they grow up. See, I don't do business with men who are unfaithful today. Isn't that funny? Like fast forward, all these years. I served my sentence. While I was in jail, I started a rehab in prison, unheard of. And the governor of the prison believed in recovery. And he gave me a whole unit of 28 guys in it. And I used to go and do meetings with them every day and do classes with them and teach them about recovery. And so my whole life changed around again. And I didn't have to be the tough guy anymore. I was already the tough guy. I didn't have to prove it anymore. The guys sort of all respected me because I stood up and said, no, if you want to use, that's your problem. Get over there. If you don't want to use, come to me and we'll help. So I started running a rehab in prison, an authorised proper rehab. I'm talking about that had counsellors. I was still the drug and alcohol counsellor, but they had welfare officers. We completely isolated from the other prisoners. We didn't associate with the other prisoners whatsoever. Our visiting section was in a different section. We cooked our own food so that the drugs couldn't come through the kitchens. The general manager said to me, what do you need? And I told him, he just gave it to me. So I got out of jail in 2012. I met my wife that I'm with today, and we just worked really hard on the truth about addiction. That's our company. And because I'm not motivated by financial stuff, because if I wanted to make money, I just work harder. So we started
Right.
I still have my jewelry company. We started a hot rod building company, which became super successful. My wife was working 3 jobs when I first met her. She was working her butt off. So we both just worked really hard, and we became a really good team. And as I said, we've been together 12 years. Today, all I care about is recovery. I'm addicted to helping people.
So your company, The Truth About Addiction, what do you do?
Well,
You have a podcast of your own. You wrote a book.
yeah,
What else does it contain?
we do one-on-one counselling. It's an hour a day for 30 days, every day.
Oh
You
wow,
come,
I love that.
you come on a
Because I
Zoom
always
meeting.
today don't do enough of that, right? It's like group counseling or whatever. And sometimes that works, right? But for me, I needed like one-on-one, and I needed a lot. I was crazy. I
Yeah.
needed someone to help me like figure it out.
My whole program is based on those.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the 8 demands. It's openness, acceptance, reliability, congruence, thoroughness, consistency, respect, and honesty. And at the bottom it says action. I take the I out of the middle and I act on these demands. See, if you're open and honest with people, you know where you stand. If you're accepting and reliable, people trust you. If you've got acceptance, I can come to you and say, oh, listen, the way you're speaking to me is really inappropriate. And you're not going to go, this ain't, you're not going to attack me. You're going to go, okay, hon, I'm going to have a look at that. Acceptance is about going away and thinking about what was said and don't answering on an emotion and coming back with the logic like, oh, okay, yeah, I agree.
Right.
Being consistent is the secret to recovery.
Right. I think consistency was huge for me because I was, and I think as most people who are in addiction are, a ditcher, right? I would say I was going to do something and I would never complete it. Like you couldn't count on me, couldn't count on my word for anything. And when I started showing up for things and showing up for myself, even myself, right? That's when people started to like trust me again. Like, oh, I can trust thing. What she says she's going to do, she'll do.
100%. And that's what I'm saying. With me, the most important thing is being trust. Because trust with me is the whole deal, Shana. I didn't get clean for the first 5 years because I never had a God of my understanding. I never had a higher power. Now, if you go to a 12-step program, they talk about handing your will and your life over to the care of God as you understand him. I'm a drug dealer. I'm a drug user. I never gave some guy my money to go away and score.
Right.
I wanted the dope there. I want to try the dope. If the dope's good, then I'm going to buy it. It was the same as my recovery. I couldn't hand my will over to somebody that I didn't trust. And because I was ignorant and about a higher power, I couldn't hand my will and my life over to the God that I thought that I understood those days. And the God that I had was the Bible God. Thou shalt not commit adultery, failed. Thou shalt not steal, failed. Thou shalt not fail. You know what I mean? So I had all these fails. But today, my whole life is revolved around helping people. And I believe everything I have today is a direct result of helping people. I believe you can only keep what you got by giving it away. The rewards I get are just phenomenal. Every day I get messages from people. I get phone calls from people. This is my morning. I wake up in the morning. All the hands, they're people that send me their gratitude list every morning. All those people send me a gratitude list every morning, and I just say, I send them the hands to say that I've read it and I've acknowledged them, so they've got connection.
I love that. I really love that. So today, I mean, we talk about our past, right? Because it's our experience and strength and hope, right? So today, what is your life like? I know you've named like you have a new son or daughter, you have a young.
Both boy and girl.
So you have a new wife, all this stuff. So what does it look like on the inside?
On the inside, I'm full of peace. I have freedom from self, freedom from active addiction, freedom from fear. I don't commit a crime whatsoever. It's not negotiable. And that's such a nice feeling to say that I've been crime-free for 20 years. Apart from getting off chemicals, stopping crime was harder for me. This is freedom. This is what they, I hear the word nirvana. I have nirvana. Today I have choices. Today I got no fear. The police, I got pulled over the other day. I've got an orange Corvette, which is bright orange, so I went past a cop's car and he had a Lamborghini pulled over. And so the cops were, they're not normal police. They're undercover. full on cops, you know. I went past them. I seen they got this Lamborghini pulled over, and I pulled around the corner, and I was going to go and get a massage at this little place I go to. And anyway, next thing I turn around, the cops are there in the undercover car, and they get out and they got their normal clothes on with all the guns on them and all that stuff. And they go, oh, g'day, mate, and I'm fully tattooed and I'm driving a flash brand new car. I said, oh, are you waiting to talk to me? And they just smiled. I said, are you car enthusiast or are you looking for bad guys? And they started laughing. And he said, we don't get paid enough to look for bad guys. And then they started doing the police stuff. Oh, what are you doing, man? Nice car. What's it go like? But they're just sussing me out. We had this conversation. And one of the cops said, what do you do for a living? I said, I own a jewelry company. He goes, how do I get a job with you? I said, first of all, you got to take your gun off. But that's the relationship I have today because I've got no fear. And I left and I said to him, I got to go, guys. I'm in a hurry. Bye. And I was like, see you later. Be safe. Like, what a different world. What a wonderful world. It's just such a peaceful, loving world. Today I wake up this morning, I did my meditation. I go and get in an ice bath every morning. As soon as I wake up, I go and get in an ice bath. I have a big freezer.
What made you start that?
Because of my age, I have a lot of inflammation and sicknesses, like internal stuff, like stuff that starts to wear out. So I started doing it and I just become in love with it. I just become obsessed with it. So for me, it works.
Does it better your mood?
Yeah, 100%.
I've heard that good for like depression and anxiety.
Yeah. And when I'm in there, I meditate because I only stay in there for 2 minutes, but it's only 14 degrees. It's quite cold.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do it.
I started at 20 and I worked my way down there. 14 is where it stays. You can do it. You just got to teach yourself this one day at a time.
So if you were to tell, the people that are listening anything about recovery or like why recovery is good, what would you tell them? Well,
recovery is good because you learn to love yourself. Yeah. You learn to love yourself by trusting yourself. You learn to trust yourself by being reliable and open and honest and congruent and thorough and consistent. Mm-hmm. And you learn to love somebody else because until you love yourself, you can't love anybody else.
And I think we really try to love other people or we think we love other people, but how when you don't even care about yourself?
The first thing you must do is love yourself. The first person you must trust is you trust yourself. Because I've been doing this now for 42 years, this recovery gig. In the early days, I was insecure and I didn't trust my partner. I was playing up and I didn't trust her. Today, I don't play up and I fully trust my partner. Yeah.
It does feel good, though, not to have to worry about other people because you're worried about, I'm doing this, so how can they be being for real or being truthful, right?
Exactly. I have all these principles today and I have this incredible freedom. And that's the biggest gift I've been given is freedom. Freedom from self, freedom from active addiction, freedom from fear. Even when I was in prison, I had more freedom than what I ever had outside when I was still a criminal.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, but I guess it makes sense, hey?
Yeah, it's true. Trust me, it's true. If it wasn't true, I wouldn't say it. That's for one thing. Also, I'll say this about recovery, is recovery gets better. And I'm 38 years clean in a couple of weeks, and it gets better. Mm-hmm. Using got worse, and it will always get worse.
That's very true. I think, they say addiction, alcoholism, it's progressive, and that's so true. No matter when you stop, you always go back to where you left off.
100%. And I've tried it, so I know that's true. And most things in this recovery journey I've tried and failed, trying to do it my way, not working the steps. And working the steps is about finding out who you are. That's all that's about.
Today, do you go through the steps every once in a while? Or?
Yeah, I go through the whole 12 steps about every 2 years. I do the 12 steps. That works out. So every 2 or 3 months I do a step. And I can do a first steps out of the NA basic text, out of the working guide in 60 minutes. Because I'm not dealing with a lot of debris. I'm not dealing with a lot of past. I'm not even dealing with using. Or I thought about robbing somebody. That's how my addiction has been active. It hasn't been active because my addiction is my brain. It's not the substance. Mm-hmm. Everybody keeps missing the point. You stop using drugs, then you start to recover.
I definitely agree. My first year sober, I was still the biggest shit show on earth because I was so unhealthy, especially mentally, right? Yeah. Like I was so anxious. I was so all over the place. I didn't keep my word then.
Yeah.
Like I had to actually learn how to be a human. But I had started using kind of like you when I was 11 or 12. So I feel like some of that growth that other people get or maturing, I didn't really do that, right?
100%. And we don't do that. We stop maturing once we start using.
Right, right. And I think people don't realize that. They're like, what is wrong with this person? Well, their brain isn't acting the same as yours or working the same as yours.
Yeah. We stunned our growth from the time we picked up usually. Now I'm about 45 years age and I act like an idiot still. So it's cool.
So I must be like 20 then.
Yeah. It's cool. It's cool. Look, I just love staying in today. It's really important that I stay in the moment because yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery. And yeah, I'm very grateful to be able to share the message and tell people that there's hope and that, all you need is love. Love yourself first and love everybody else. Then hang on to it because, mate, you're going to enjoy the ride. The ride is incredible.
All right. Well, we will let you go. Do you have anything you want to say quick?
Thank you very much for carrying the message.
Yes.
Keep
Thank you
going
so much.
what you're doing. I enjoy your controlled chaos. I love watching your little clips. I do. You make me smile, and recovery is about smiling. And get out of the past and get into the future.
Yes. And what I love about you is that you answer people, not just about money. It's really about recovery.